Right now, garden centers across America are stocked with plants that will be gone from your containers before the end of August. Not because you did anything wrong, not because you missed a watering or used the wrong soil, because the person who sold them to you never mentioned that these 15 plants exist. Every perennial in this video survives hard freezes, handles weeks without water, tolerates complete neglect, and the one we cover at number 9 actually looks more stunning the less attention you give it. Grab something to write with? This list is worth keeping. Before plant number 1, drop your US state in the comments right now. Your USDA hardiness zone determines which of these 15 will perform best in your specific containers. And we will be calling out those zones by name throughout this entire video. Find yours and pay close attention. And if Garden Senior Living isn't already part of your weekly viewing, hit subscribe before this video ends. We put out practical, zone-specific container gardening guidance every single week. The kind of information that stops you from spending another spring replacing plants that were never going to make it to October. Leave without subscribing and the next video may never reach you. Let's get into the plants. Plant 1. Sedum. Plant number 1 breaks a rule most American gardeners believe without ever questioning it. The better your potting mix, the worse this plant performs. That is not a typo. Most gardeners reach for premium, moisture-rich soil and then spend the entire season wondering why their sedum grows floppy, leggy, and completely unattractive by July. The soil is the problem. Sedum stores water inside its own leaf tissue, a built-in reserve system that makes the plant almost entirely independent of your watering schedule. Field observations have documented established sedum going 6 to 8 weeks without a single drop of water and recovering without any lasting damage. Try that with any other plant in a container garden and see what you come back to. Plant sedum in lean, slightly poor soil, and it stays compact, colorful, and well-shaped from spring through hard frost. Stop fertilizing it entirely. That act of deliberate neglect produces better form, richer color, and cleaner structure than any amendment you could add. 3 varieties worth knowing. Autumn Fire delivers deep copper-pink flower clusters from September through November and holds itself upright in containers without ever collapsing. Dragon's Blood stays low with vivid red foliage that deepens dramatically as fall temperatures drop. And Matrona is tall and architectural. Burgundy stems, dusty pink blooms, the kind of container plant that looks professionally chosen. Zones 3 through 9. In zones 9 and 10, move containers to afternoon shade during peak summer heat, and the plant performs just as dependably. Water deeply once when you first plant it, then pull back to once every 2 to 3 weeks through summer. When temperatures begin dropping in fall, stop watering completely. What the plant does with fall color after that will be the best display on your entire porch. Nothing else close. Plant 2. Lavender. Plant 2 is killed by the same bag of soil every single year across America. The bag labeled Premium Moisture Control. That one specifically. Lavender developed on rocky Mediterranean hillsides where soil nutrition is minimal and moisture disappears almost immediately. The rich, water-retaining mixes most American gardeners automatically reach for create exactly the conditions that rot lavender roots. And the frustrating part is that no one at the garden center is going to tell you that before you buy it. The fix is simple. Blend your standard potting soil with 1/3 coarse perlite or horticultural grit before planting. Use containers with a minimum of 3 drainage holes. Remove saucers completely. Never leave one underneath a lavender pot. That combination of changes makes lavender nearly impossible to kill in a container. For varieties, Hidcote is deep purple, compact, and the most cold-hardy English lavender available, reliably overwintering to Zone 5. If you're gardening in the South, Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, Phenomenal is your variety. It handles heat and humidity better than anything else on the market across zones 6 through 9. And if fragrance is your primary goal, Grosso carries the highest essential oil concentration of any variety and blooms continuously from June through August. Never fertilize lavender in a container, not once. Rich nutrients produce soft, weak stems with almost no scent. And the essential oil concentration that creates the fragrance actually increases when the plant is slightly underfed. Neglect here is not acceptable. It's the correct technique. Position the container where you sit on warm evenings. Brush the foliage lightly as you walk past. The oils release instantly. a personal space that smells extraordinary and naturally discourages mosquitoes. From a $4 plant in a single pot, no annual ever gives you that return. Plant 3, Russian Sage. Plant 3 does something that surprises nearly every gardener who tries it. It performs better in a container than it does in the ground. The restricted root environment encourages tighter, more upright growth than open soil produces. Gardeners who grow it in-ground first and then try it in a pot rarely go back. And the bloom period is something most American gardeners have simply never experienced from a single perennial. Once Russian sage establishes, it blooms continuously from July straight through October, 4 full months of blue-purple flowers on silver-white stems. Most flowering perennials give 4 to 6 weeks of color under ideal conditions. Russian sage delivers 4 complete months regardless of conditions. In container gardening, that gap separates a plant that earns its space from one that merely fills it. No pest issues. Deer avoid it completely. The aromatic foliage naturally repels insects without any spray, treatment, or effort on your part. And after blooming finishes, the silver architectural stem structure continues providing genuine winter interest when every other container on your street looks bare and forgotten. Zones 4 through 9. The entire annual maintenance requirement is one task. Cut back to 6 inches in late February or early March. 30 seconds of work. In return, the plant comes back fuller and more floriferous than the season before. That exchange is almost unreasonably fair. In Zone 4, position the container against a protected south-facing wall before hard freeze arrives. In Zones 8 and 9, Russian sage may hold its silver structure through mild winters entirely. Year-round container interest without a single additional task. Channel mention, midpoint 1. If you're still watching and Garden Senior Living isn't yet in your subscription list, here's what that means practically. YouTube tracks the channels you follow and delivers their content to your feed. The moment you leave this video without subscribing, the algorithm begins deciding whether to show you the next one. It doesn't always decide in your favor. Zone-specific, experience-based container gardening content goes out from this channel every single week. Content built to stop you from spending another season replacing plants that were never going to survive. Hit subscribe. It takes less time than reading this sentence. Plant 4, Hens and Chicks. Plant 4 is the only container perennial that actively tries to give you more plants without being asked. The mother rosette, called the hen, continuously produces smaller rosettes called chicks around its outer edge. Each chick is a fully independent plant. Separate it with 2 fingers, drop it into a new container with minimal soil, and it establishes without fertilizer, without special treatment, without any attention from you. The hen blooms once after several years, then dies. But by that point, she has produced enough chicks to fill multiple containers several times over. The plant replaces itself and expands your collection at the same time. Nothing else on this list does both simultaneously. 3 varieties worth noting. Cobweb Hens and Chicks is laced with fine white threads across each rosette that look exactly like delicate spider webs. It stops visitors in their tracks every time. Red Beauty transitions from green to deep burgundy as temperatures fall in autumn, looking completely different in November than it did in May. Pacific Blue Ice produces blue-gray rosettes so unusual that people regularly reach out to confirm they're real. Zones 3 through 8. These plants developed in the Swiss Alps and Carpathian Mountains on exposed rocky ridges with scorching summers, bitter winters, and almost no soil. Your container garden, even a neglected one, is genuinely luxurious by comparison. They thrive in containers as shallow as 4 inches, which makes them perfect for windowsill gardens, wall planters, and small balconies where deeper containers simply aren't practical. One thing worth knowing, drop in the comments whether your hens produce chicks the way they should have, or whether almost none appeared your first season. The difference between a productive hen and an unproductive one comes down entirely to container drainage. A hen in a cramped, poorly draining pot puts every bit of energy into survival. A hen in a well-draining container with room to spread puts that energy into reproduction. We'll cover exactly how to set that up in the final section of this video. Plant 5, Catmint Walker's Low. Plant 5 is the direct answer to the most overpriced, over-maintained container plant in America. Petunias need deadheading every few days, weekly fertilizing, and complete replacement every single spring. Catmint needs 1 trim per season. That is the entire maintenance list. 1 trim, while producing 6 continuous months of color that petunias could never match without looking exhausted by early August. Walker's Low produces rolling clouds of blue-purple flowers on arching stems from May through October. 6 months from a single plant that returns stronger every year without ever being replaced. Butterflies are strongly drawn to it. You'll have visible wildlife activity around your containers all summer without planting anything specifically for that purpose. The foliage releases a mild herbal scent when touched that most biting insects find deeply unpleasant. Color, wildlife, and natural pest deterrents from one plant that asks almost nothing in return. For varieties, Walker's Low is the benchmark. Award-winning 18 to 24 inches tall, the most reliable option for American containers across nearly every climate zone. Cat's Meow is more compact and self-cleaning, blooming without any deadheading, making it ideal for smaller containers or gardeners who want even less involvement. Six Hills Giant is larger and more dramatic, a genuine statement plant for a big pot on a front porch or back deck. Zones 3 through 8, once established, water once weekly even through peak summer heat. In zones 8 and 9, afternoon shade prevents foliage burn, but the plant performs dependably through the entire growing season. When the first flush begins fading in July, cut the entire plant back by half. It looks severe for about 10 days. Then it returns with a second bloom flush that is often heavier than the first. 2 complete bloom cycles from one plant in a single season. Gardeners who skip that cut lose 6 to 8 weeks of color every summer and never understand why their catmint underperformed. Now they know. Plant 6, Hosta Sum and Substance. Plant 6 is more beautiful in a container than it is in the ground. Not equally beautiful, more beautiful. And the reason is specific. Containers eliminate slugs, the single most destructive force in hosta ground plantings across America. They eliminate the drainage problems that cause root rot in poorly managed in-ground soil, and they give you complete portability. Move them to your best display location in summer. Move them to a protected spot before hard freeze in fall. You're not limiting hostas by growing them in containers. You're giving them conditions that open ground simply cannot provide. For varieties, Sum and Substance produces enormous chartreuse gold leaves up to 18 inches across that glow in shade as though lit from within. Nothing else in a shady container arrangement creates that kind of visual presence at the same price. Halcyon has powder blue foliage that is naturally slug-resistant and stays clean and attractive all season without any intervention. Patriot has deep green leaves with crisp white margins that look deliberate, like someone painted the edges by hand. Zones 3 through 9, one of the widest cold hardiness ranges of any shade perennial available to American gardeners. In zones 3 through 5, move containers against a protected wall or into an unheated garage before hard freeze. In zones 8 and 9, morning sun only. Afternoon shade is non-negotiable for keeping the foliage attractive through summer heat. A well-managed container hosta never needs replacing. It divides naturally every few years. Separate it into 2 or 3 sections, move them into fresh containers with fresh soil, and your original purchase has now produced enough plants to fill 8 containers over a decade. That's the mathematics of perennial gardening that annual gardeners never get to experience, and it's one of the most satisfying things this entire hobby produces. Plant 7, Coral Bells / Heuchera. Plant 7 is one of the most commonly misplanted perennials in American container gardens. And the correction takes less than 5 minutes to make. Most people put Heuchera in deep shade and then spend the entire season wondering why the color looks dull and washed out. Deep shade is exactly the wrong placement. Moving it to catch 2 to 3 hours of gentle morning light produces more visible color intensity than any fertilizer or soil amendment you could add. The color range available in modern Heucheras is remarkable: burgundy, silver, lime green, caramel, orange, and near black. More variety than most flowering plants, and that color is present from the moment the plant breaks dormancy in spring all the way through hard frost in fall. In zones 7 through 9, it stays fully evergreen, container color and structure for all 12 months without a single additional task. 3 varieties. Palace Purple produces deep burgundy leaves that appear almost black in certain light, one of the most dramatic foliage effects available in container gardening at any price. Lime Ricky is electric chartreuse that illuminates shady corners in a way nothing else can match. caramel produces warm amber-orange tones that shift visibly throughout the season. A plant that looks genuinely different every month from April through October, which is something very few container plants can honestly claim. Zones 4 through 9. In zones 4 through 6, foliage may flatten during hard freezes but rebounds cleanly every spring without intervention. Consistent morning light is the single most impactful adjustment you can make for this plant. 2 weeks after repositioning, the difference in color saturation will be obvious enough that you'll wonder why nobody mentioned it sooner. Plant 8. Astilbus. Plant 8 looks like it requires the kind of care you'd give a rare orchid. It does not. The feathery plumes look like they came directly from a professional florist's arrangement, and that visual elegance leads most gardeners to assume an equally demanding level of maintenance. That assumption is entirely wrong, and containers actually make this plant perform better than any ground planting you'll see in the same yard. In the ground, astilbe depends on whatever moisture the surrounding soil happens to hold. During a dry American summer, and dry summers are increasingly common across most of the country, ground-planted astilbe struggles. Plumes come in smaller, bloom periods shorten, foliage looks stressed by July. In a container, you control exactly how much water the plant receives. That control produces larger plumes, longer bloom periods, and cleaner foliage than open ground under identical garden conditions. The container isn't a compromise for astilbe, it's an upgrade. For varieties, Bridal Veil produces pure white plumes that glow in shade with a quiet elegance that stops conversation. Finale has deep red flowers rising above dark bronze foliage, one of the most dramatic color combinations available in shade container gardening anywhere in America. Sprite is compact, shell pink, perfect for smaller containers, and has earned more awards than almost any other astilbe variety in American horticulture over the past 30 years. Zones 3 through 8. Fully cold hardy, returning each spring with more flowering stems than the season before. Unlike most drought-tolerant plants on this list, astilbe genuinely prefers consistent moisture, which containers make completely straightforward to manage. Morning sun with afternoon shade is ideal in zones 7 and 8. After blooming ends, don't cut the spent plumes immediately. Left standing through fall, they transition to warm russet brown that provides genuine container interest well into November. Cut them back in late fall or early spring. Either timing works perfectly. Plant 9, Lamb's Ear / Stachys. Plant 9 gets more spectacular the less water you give it. That is not a gardening preference. That is the biological reality of a plant that developed on rocky, sun-baked hillsides in Turkey and Iran, where rainfall is rare, soil is minimal, and survival depends entirely on the plant's own systems, not on anyone remembering a schedule. The dense, silver-white hairs covering every leaf are not decorative. They are a precision survival mechanism. Those hairs reflect intense sunlight to prevent the leaf from overheating. They trap a thin layer of dry air directly against the leaf surface to slow moisture loss to almost nothing. When you overwater lamb's ear, those hairs flatten, trap moisture instead of air, and the plant rots from the outside in. The damage looks like neglect. The actual cause is too much attention. When you underwater it, the hairs stay upright, stay silver, and the plant becomes more visually striking with every week of drought. Neglect is not a mistake with this plant. Neglect is the correct growing technique. 3 varieties. Big Ears produces leaves up to 6 inches long. The most dramatic option for container display, and the one that generates the most questions from visitors without fail. Helen von Stein rarely produces flowers, directing all plant energy into producing silver foliage. The best choice if pure visual impact is the priority. Silky fleece is smaller and more compact, ideal for mixed container arrangements where a silver accent is needed without a dominant presence taking over the pot. Zones 4 through 8. In zones 9 and 10, afternoon shade is necessary. The hair system manages intense sun effectively, but extreme southern heat combined with high humidity goes beyond what the plant was designed to handle. Place lamb's ear next to almost any other container plant, and it does something those plants cannot. It invites touch. People reach out and brush it without thinking about it, every single time. That tactile quality combined with the silver coloration makes it one of the most commented on plants in any container garden across America. And every bit of that is achieved by watering it less than everything else on your porch. Before plant 10, tap the like button on this video. Not as a favor to this channel, because every like tells YouTube this content is worth putting in front of other American gardeners who are out there right now spending money every spring on plants that won't make it to Labor Day. They keep thinking the problem is their own ability. It has never been their ability. One tap, that's all it takes. Plant 10, Virginia Winterglow. Plant 10 proves that container gardening doesn't stop when summer ends. While every other perennial on your porch goes dormant and disappears, Virginia is changing color, holding structure, and preparing to flower before winter is even finished. Most American gardeners have never grown it. Most have never heard of it. That gap between how obscure this plant is and how well it performs is one of the most useful things we can share with you today. In spring, Virginia produces clusters of pink flowers before most other perennials have broken dormancy, sometimes while frost is still visible on the ground in the early morning. Through summer, thick glossy leaves provide bold container structure that holds its form through heat, wind, and everything else. In fall, those leaves transition to deep burgundy as temperatures drop. Through winter, the evergreen foliage holds its color and form, while every other container around it looks empty and forgotten. For varieties, Winterglow is the most cold reliable option available. Deep burgundy winter color, clean pink spring flowers, exceptional four-season performance that justifies every inch of container space. Bressingham White delivers clean white spring flowers above glossy foliage, one of the most elegant Virginia options for American container gardens. Baby Doll is compact with soft pink blooms, the right choice for smaller containers and gardeners working with limited porch or balcony space. Zones 3 through 8 tolerates deep shade, drought, poor soil, and temperatures well below zero once established. In zones 3 and 4, the winter color display is actually the most dramatic of all. The coldest temperatures produce the deepest burgundy tones, and the contrast against January frost or snow is something most American container gardeners have simply never experienced. Think of one person in your life right now who keeps spending money at the garden center every spring, keeps losing plants by July, and keeps believing the problem is their own ability. Send them this video before you close it. No message needed, just the link. That one action could save them years of frustration and real money spent on plants that were never going to survive. Plant 11, Black-Eyed Susan / Rudbeckia. Plant 11 produces 80 to 120 simultaneous blooms at peak flowering, not over the course of a season, at one time. Standing in front of a container with that many golden yellow flowers open at once against those deep dark centers is a color impact that almost nothing else at the same price point can replicate. And this plant performs better in its second year than its first, better in its third than its second. Every winter, the root system strengthens and pushes out more flowering stems than the year before. A plant purchased this spring will be more impressive next summer, and more impressive still the summer after that. Very few garden investments compound that way. This one does. Goldsturm is the benchmark variety. Award-winning, compact enough for containers, blooming without interruption from July through September. Prairie Sun has yellow petals with green centers instead of dark, a fresher and more contemporary look that stands out immediately in any container lineup. Cherry Brandy produces unusual copper-orange tones that set it completely apart from every other yellow-flowering perennial on your porch or deck. Zones 3 through 9 leave the seed heads standing through fall and winter. Goldfinches, chickadees, and housefinches feed on them actively from October through February. Your container becomes a wildlife feeding station that costs nothing to operate after the plant is established. Here is the piece of information most American gardeners don't have. Black-Eyed Susan is a fully hardy perennial. It was never meant to be replaced. Most people buy it as an annual and start over every single spring, spending money they didn't need to spend year after year after year. That cycle ends now. Plant 12, Ornamental Grass / Karl Foerster. No other container plant looks intentional in January. Every other pot on your street in the middle of winter looks abandoned and empty. Karl Foerster looks like someone planned it that way. The upright architectural stem structure stands clean and deliberate through frost, through snow, through everything winter sends across American yards from Zone 4 through Zone 9. That alone separates it from everything else on this list. Spring brings fresh green vertical structure back to the container. Summer develops characteristic wheat-colored feathery plumes that move in the lightest breeze and produce a soft sound no other container plant generates. Fall transitions the entire plant to warm gold, while seed heads begin feeding birds through the cooling months. Winter provides the standing architectural presence that makes a porch or deck look considered rather than neglected. 4 complete seasons of genuine container interest from one plant that requires one maintenance task per year. For varieties, Karl Foerster stands narrow and upright at 4 to 5 feet, the most architectural container grass available to American gardeners and a past perennial Plant of the Year winner. Morning Light has fine silver-edged leaves with a graceful arching form and soft pink fall plumes. More delicate than Karl Foerster, better for gardeners who want movement and softness rather than strict vertical structure. Blue fescue forms compact blue-gray mounds at 10 to 12 inches, perfect for smaller containers and mixed arrangements needing a low accent without dominant height. Karl Foerster zones 4 through 9. Morning Light zones 5 through 9. Blue fescue zones 4 through 8. Cut all ornamental grasses back to 4 to 6 inches in late February. That is the complete annual maintenance requirement. One task, 5 minutes, then watch it return taller, fuller, and more impressive than the season before. Plant 13, Coneflower/Echinacea. Plant 13 does more for an American container garden than any other single plant on this entire list. Native to American soil, documented by the National Wildlife Federation as one of the top 5 bird-feeding native plants in the country. Blooms from June through September with minimal deadheading. Self-seeds into surrounding containers, providing free plants every season without any effort on your part. Seed heads left standing through fall and winter feed goldfinches, chickadees, and housefinches from October through February. A container that earns its space in every single month of the calendar year without being asked. For varieties, Magnus Purple is the classic. Larger flower heads than the wild species. More upright habit, universally reliable from Maine to Texas. White Swan is pure white with orange centers, slightly more shade tolerant than purple varieties. A clean and elegant option for gardeners who want something beyond the standard color. Hot Paprika produces double orange-red flowers. The most dramatic modern coneflower variety available to American container gardeners right now. Zones 3 through 9. In zones 4 and 5, position containers against a south-facing wall during the coldest weeks of winter. In zones 7 through 9, bloom season extends well into fall with proper deadheading management. A coneflower purchased this spring self-seeds, feeds wildlife through winter, returns stronger next year, and never once asks to be replaced. Sit with that and then calculate honestly what you spent last year on plants that did none of those things. That calculation is uncomfortable for most American gardeners. It should be the last time it needs to be made. Plant 14, Hellebore Ice and Roses series. Most American gardeners spend winter staring at empty containers. Hellebore gardeners spend winter looking at flowers. That difference costs exactly the same amount of effort. Not approximately the same. Exactly the same. And yet most garden centers stock their shelves with plants that disappear by October and leave nothing behind until April. The Hellebore sits on those same shelves occasionally, and almost nobody picks it up. Because nobody explained what it actually does. This plant blooms from December through April, the longest single bloom window of any perennial available to American gardeners. Flowers in white, pink, burgundy, yellow, and near black. Evergreen foliage provides 12 months of container structure, thick, deeply divided, glossy leaves that look architectural year-round without any intervention. The flowers emerge and hold through temperatures that kill most other plants entirely. A hard frost that wipes out everything else on your porch does not slow a Hellebore down. For varieties, Ice and Roses Red produces deep burgundy flowers from December through March, the most dramatic winter container plant available in the American market right now, and the one that generates the most genuine surprise from visitors who cannot believe something is blooming in January. Wedding Party has pure white double flowers blooming from January through April, an elegance in winter containers no other plant at any price can honestly replicate. Penny's Pink delivers soft pink with darker veining throughout each petal, one of the most refined Hellebore options available today. Zones 4 through 9. In zones 4 and 5, position containers against a protected south-facing wall during the coldest weeks. In zones 7 through 9, bloom season extends from November through April. 5 full months of winter flowers from a plant that asks for almost nothing in return. Drop in the comments right now. What does your container garden look like in January? That answer is about to change permanently for every gardener who acts on what this plant can do. Plant 15, Japanese painted fern. Plant 15 closes this list for one specific reason. Every standard green fern in a container looks exactly like what it is. Japanese painted fern looks like something placed there by a professional designer on purpose. The care requirements for both plants are completely identical. The visual result is in a different category entirely. The silver and burgundy coloring on each frond looks hand-painted. It is completely natural. It requires no special treatment, no particular fertilizer, and no specific technique to produce. In a shady container arrangement, it adds a metallic, almost luminous quality that makes everything surrounding it look more intentional, more considered, more designed. No other plant on this list does that specific thing in shade. 3 varieties. Burgundy lace has the most pronounced purple tones of any painted fern available to American gardeners. The most dramatic option for maximum visual impact in shade. Ghost is nearly pure silver, almost luminous in deep shade, and one of the most visually striking foliage plants available at any price point in the American market. Pictum, silver gray with a burgundy midrib running down each frond, remains the classic variety, reliably performing in American container gardens for decades without ever disappointing. Zones 3 through 8. This fern dies back completely in winter and returns every spring with more fronds than the season before. Do not cut the old fronds back in fall. Leave them standing through winter. They provide natural insulation for the crown during hard freezes, and removing them too early exposes the plant during its most vulnerable period. Wait until you see fresh growth pushing up from the base in early spring. Then remove the old material. That timing costs nothing but patience and protects the plant through everything winter sends. If you are growing a fern in a container, grow one that earns its space every single day it sits on your porch. Japanese painted fern does that every time. Garden Senior Living publishes practical, zone-specific container gardening content every single week. Built specifically for gardeners who want real results without starting over from scratch every spring. If you've spent too many seasons replacing plants that were never built to survive American winters, that cycle ends now. Subscribe. It's free and always will be. And the information keeps coming every week whether you're ready for it or not. Before you close this video, drop 3 things in the comments. Which plants from this list are you adding to your containers this season? What US state are you gardening in? And what's one plant you spent good money on last year that didn't make it to fall? Those answers help Garden Senior Living build the exact content your garden actually needs next. Now go fill those containers. See you in the next one. Garden Senior Living, practical container gardening every week.